Hello, 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 and welcome to chapter 34 of Bookmarked. Today we're talking all about advanced reader copies, or ARCs, and guess what? We have a very special guest here today. Would you introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Olivia. I'm from the channel Stories for Coffee, both on YouTube and on Instagram. And yes, hello, I'm excited to be here.
So who else is here today?
I'm Hailey from the channel Hailey and Bookland. I don't know if I just took Hannah's spot. I think I did, but I started talking and kept on going. Woo! One of these days I'll figure it out.
And I'm Hannah, and my channel is A Clockwork Reader.
And I am Zoe. My channel is Read by Zoe. You're here today, so hopefully you know who I am. So we're talking all about ARCs, but first let's talk about what we are currently reading. Would you like to start us off, Liv?
Oh my goodness, okay. I'm reading like 5 books right now, but we're only going to talk about 2. So I'm reading Ask Again Yes on Audiobook. This is like a suburban drama between like 2 families, disasters happen, tragedy. It's very sad, but also very good because it's like full of drama. It's like Big Little Lies, but like not with like as much rich people, less rich people. And then I'm also reading The Last Magician. It's just like a fantasy, historical fiction, heist. It's great. It's great.
What about you, Hailey?
I'm currently reading Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren. I just don't have my copy on me at the moment.
I'm currently reading 3 books. I'm still reading Beyond the Black Door, but my laptop is sitting on it, so I'm not going to show it to you. And then last night I started listening to the audiobook of The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna, which I know I said was on my TBR for the reading rush, but I kind of threw that TBR out the window because I didn't realize the reading rush is like 2 weeks from like when I posted that. So now I'm just like reading all these things because I feel like reading historical fiction. So I started this and I really like this audiobook so far. And I also started reading The Fountains of Silence last night as well, because I read Salt to the Sea. I finished Salt to the Sea yesterday, and I was like, I only want to read Brutus Apetys from now on. So I just feel like reading historical fiction. So that's where I'm at.
Oh, that's beautiful. I need to read all of those books, but I am currently reading Wilder Girls by Rory Power. I flew through the first bit of this and then I put it down because I really was listening to BTS. That's all I was doing for a while. But this is so good. It is sapphic horror. It's like a retelling of Lord of the Flies, which I've never read before, and I'm kind of happy that I don't know the original story because this is even more like, what the heck is happening? It's so good. Please read it. I'm finally reading a book as it comes out, and it's a good one, so I'm proud of myself. But our book of the month for July is Wicked Fox by Kat Cho, if you would like to join us along. And yeah, that's all I have to say about books, and now we can leave. Okay, so first let's talk about what are advanced reader copies. Would someone like to explain?
Alex. That felt like that moment in class where like nobody wants to raise their hand to answer the question,
and I just like kind of look away.
Yeah, you just like sit down in your chair like
So an advanced reader copy or an ARC is sometimes called a galley or a proof as well. It's basically, and I have one right here, The Fountains of Silence is an advanced reader copy. It's an advanced, so like early copy of a book that is usually uncorrected. So it's not in its like final form. It's probably going through like another round or 2 of edits. But they're basically made for reviewers. So they're sent out, there's like a limited quantity of them, and they're sent out to reviewers, book bloggers, booksellers, and librarians, people like that, to get like early buzz on a book. So they'll give them to people early so that people can read it and then create hype around a book or like be able to market the book. And yeah, that's essentially what an advanced reader copy is. Did I miss anything?
No, I think you're good. Yeah, so a lot of people were asking, we got a lot of questions on Twitter, and also if you'd like to ask us more questions about ARCs, let us know on Twitter or in the chat, and we will be sure to answer them. But a lot of the basic questions that we got were, can you get ARCs if you are not a book reviewer or an influencer? I hate that word, but can you get them? And the answer is yes, you can, but it's much more difficult because they're meant for being reviewed. That's why they are advanced review or advanced reader copies. But you can get them through giveaways, such as on Goodreads, or I think there are other websites where you can get them. And sometimes a publisher even does like early giveaways. And you can also get them from book conventions. So if you go to, I know you can go to ALA, which is the something
American Library Association.
You can pay to go to that convention. You can pay to go to BookCon, and you can get ARCs. So there are ways, but they're not created for the intent of just like anybody getting them. They're created for specific people in mind. So, okay. Now another question that we got a lot of, and that Liv is kind of an expert on, is what do you do with ARCs after they've come out, after you've already read them? What do you do with your extra ARCs?
So I wrote a whole article about this, but it's not out yet. But anyway, I'll give you a sneak peek. I'm looking at the article right now. So if you see my eyes going all weird, I'm reading. So you can win one from hosting, you can win one from an ARC giveaway. You could host an ARC giveaway if you want to get rid of your ARC. Sorry, I was thinking about like how you can get an ARC. You could host a giveaway, just give them away to anyone who like enters it on any single like platform that you're on. You could donate them to your local library, high school, or shelter, or you could pass them on to a friend who's interested in reading the story, because like since you've already reviewed them, you could just give it on to someone else. Or you could give it to another blogger for them to review, so you could get double the amount of reviews. Or you could also trade them on Books for Trade on Twitter. It's a whole hashtag. It's like a whole game, that whole hashtag. It's very difficult to like get ARCs on it. But if you ever want to like go into the Hunger Games on Twitter, the hashtag Books for Trade is that. It's interesting. I know a lot of people who get like really good ARCs from Books for Trade, but you have to have like good ARCs to trade. It's like a whole shebang. But those are like different ways you could get rid of your ARCs if you don't want them anymore. But sometimes I just keep them because I treat them like a normal book. If I really enjoy that book, I just put it on my bookshelf and keep it as like a finished copy.
That's what I do as well. And I've only heard about Books for Trade from like Whitney from Witty Novels. She does it a lot. It like even stresses me out just seeing her do it, and I'm like not involved, but I'm like, oh my gosh, I hope you get that like 77th Shatter Me mark. But yeah, so those are some ways I know that like some people just throw them away, but don't throw them away. They're perfectly good books.
I've also, I don't know how to do this, but I've also heard people saying that you can donate ARCs to prisons as well.
Oh, yes.
I don't know the process of doing that, but I've heard that that's like something you can also do, which I think is a good idea.
Yeah, that's definitely a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
I will. Oh yeah. Someone Lunary Reads in the chat says there's also hashtag ARCs for Trade and many Facebook groups with thousands who trade ARCs and books. That's wow. Yeah. So
that's good to know.
I'm sure on Facebook there might even be some on Instagram, but I think that would be another way. They just take a picture of it, right?
I know some people will like share it on their stories, and then they'll be like, I'm getting rid of these ARCs. Here's my wish list. So if you have those books, you could just like trade it. But I don't know if there's like a specific hashtag.
Okay. I'm guessing it would be like Books for Trade or ARCs for Trade.
Yeah.
Keep it consistent amongst everybody.
Keep it simple.
Okay. So we have some more questions, but I'm actually going to share with you some tips that I got from booktubers and book reviewers on Twitter. The first one is from Emma Books. She says, I always like to tack on if this title isn't available, I'd love to hear more about your options for working with reviewers at the end of an initial email to publishers. Even if you can't get the book you want, they may still add you to a mailing list or a monthly/seasonal request form. Also, I don't accept /request something. Don't accept /request something you won't realistically read soon, which is a lot. Many people were giving that one tip. Getting ARCs seems super glamorous until you're stuck with a ton of books you'll never get to, have lost interest in, or feel guilty about not reviewing. That is something that I've definitely done this year. I've taken myself off a lot of mailing lists from publishers, and I haven't requested any because I felt so guilty for having a lot of them stack up, especially when I was in school and not reading a lot. So this is a universal tip. Just ask for ARCs that you are very interested in, because they want to obviously see you review the advanced review copies. So do you have any tips, just general tips about ARCs?
I would say be picky about them, because when you first start blogging, you're like, I want all the arcs because it's like so exclusive and like fun to get them. But then you realize you have to review all of them before they're published and you get stressed out. So now I'm like much more picky with what I want, and I will tell publishers like, I'm not really interested in this right now, or I'll wait until it's published and then I'll let it someone else get it, because I know someone else will probably want it more.
Yeah. I think like don't feel so bad about requesting so many, to be honest, which sure is kind of controversial, but they throw them out anyways. They shred them. So like at least if you get them, yeah, they just
Insider
shred them.
secrets.
Yeah. So like I don't feel guilty about it, because I'm like, if I don't read it, I know that I'm going to be giving it to, like, I put it in the library that I made at my high school. Like, it's not going to get thrown out. But yeah, if no one requests them and no one wants them, then they don't end up getting read, and then they end up getting shredded. So I wouldn't feel bad about it. I don't know. That's my...
Yeah, I don't feel so bad about I feel more bad if I don't read one that I specifically requested, which is actually like very rare for me. I don't really specifically request arcs very often at all anymore. Like I think I've only done it maybe 3 or 4 times total. But like with other arcs that are just like unsolicited and sent to me, like I never really feel bad about not reading them.
No.
Only because like even just like showing them in a video like promotes them a lot ahead of time before the release of the book. So with those, I don't feel like too guilty. But like if you're like specifically requesting like a ton of arcs and then not reading them, then that might be like a little bit.
Yeah.
There's
extra,
different
but
calls between like requesting one and just being on a mailing list.
Yeah,
for sure.
That's another, what you said, Hannah, is another tip that people gave, is that even if you can't get to like individually reviewing all of the books, like put them on Bookstagram or something like that. Take a picture of, or there are people who put on their stories of unboxing arcs. I think that's a really good way of just getting the exposure out there.
Yeah, I'll be like blatantly honest with publishers if I am requesting an arc that like I might not be able to actually review it, but I will show it in a video. So they have that guarantee that like it will get exposure. And I mean, to be honest, like don't like if it is actually, you know, reviews don't get the views is what I was trying to say. Sorry. So just mentioning it in like a book haul or anything like that, like I pretty much guarantee that I'll mention it in a book haul, because book hauls are the ones that are going to get the most exposure usually. But honestly, just mentioning it in any video is going to be helpful. And that's what they want, is the exposure. It's not so much about the review. It's more so about like getting the buzz out about that title. That's why like they send arcs to reviewers. That's why they send them to librarians and bookstores, because they want
bookstores.
Yeah. Because they want
booksellers.
Yeah. Like our back room just constantly has arcs in it, because they want you to know about the releases, because booksellers have a hell of a lot of influence.
Yeah.
If you have someone who comes in, doesn't know about like BookTube, doesn't know anything about reading, that's the person that they're going to go to. And it's the same with librarians, except like without money. But yeah, it's just, I don't know.
So we have a lot of questions about how do you request arcs? How does that happen? Well, first, can we talk about e-arcs? Like, have any of you used like Edelweiss or NetGalley?
I used NetGalley until I got like an influx of e-arcs at the same time, and I was like, this is stressful, because if you don't review them within like a certain amount of time, then your ratio goes down. So that one like actually affects you, and it's a whole thing. But I've used NetGalley. It's very easy to use. If you're interested in a book, you just click like request arc, and then they'll let you know if you get it. And you sometimes may be auto approved. So if you're auto approved by a certain publisher, then any book from that publisher you could just immediately get sent to your Kindle or your Nook or wherever you read.
Okay, perfect. And
someone made a fake NetGalley for me.
No.
Stop.
No.
Yeah. Because I got an email from, I think it was HarperCollins, and they were like, oh, like, I saw that you requested this book on NetGalley. And I was like, no, I didn't. And then this other girl who I'd worked with before, she sent me a screenshot of like the profile, and they made this whole fake email, like this whole thing pretending to be me, and we're getting books from it.
Oh my God.
I was like, cool. Awesome. And it took like forever for NetGalley to get back to me to like actually take it down.
Oh,
but
no.
it was
Don't do
taken
that.
down. But yeah.
We don't endorse that on this channel.
Yeah, no.
People, we have Noha on the chat who asked, can you get e-arcs if you live outside of America? I'm guessing
I believe so, yeah.
It's harder to get physical arcs because obviously mailing and all of that is more
Some of them
expensive.
though, like I remember when I was first starting out and I was trying to get e-arcs, a lot of them were like only available in the US.
Really?
Like an
It'll
astounding
say
amount of
on
them.
NetGalley.
Yeah. But I don't know if it's still like that. That was like 4 or 5 years ago. Oh, that's a long time ago. Yeah, that was a long time ago.
But how, okay, if you are a reviewer or a bookstagrammer or you have like a really pop-in Goodreads or a blog, how do you first email a publisher? What do you put in that email? Let's make a template email for all the people watching right now.
I have a template email.
Oh, you do? Can you read it off to
Share
us,
it.
please?
Share it.
It's really old. I haven't used it for a long time. So I can I'll find that, and then I'll also find the most recent email I sent to request an ARC.
Ah, perfect. First, say your name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Introduce yourself.
Introduce yourself.
And like your platform.
Yeah.
And like what you primarily read. Like I read young adult, and if you're requesting an arc that you're like really excited for, maybe you've reviewed something from that author before. So maybe link that below and be like, I previously covered this author's work before. I would love to cover her their next story, because it shows that you're already interested and you have like previous influence and stuff.
Even if it's like a similar genre, you can say like genre. I've read a lot of historical fiction or something like that.
Yeah.
And put if you have like statistics, if you have analytics, say like, oh, like I usually get this number of likes on my Instagram photos, or I have this many followers, something like that, just to show that you like are engaging with what you're doing.
I have all of that in my
can you read it off?
Okay. This is from, I think that this is when I updated it. So this isn't when I initially wrote it, from June 16th, 2016. Okay, so I wrote, hello, my name is Hannah Azring, and I'm a booktuber from the channel A Clockwork Reader. I have been making book-related videos for about a year. Wow, I was a baby. It's like 4 years now. And I have 9,600 plus subscribers. So I included like my number of subscribers. And then I said, I also acquire around 5,000 plus, or however many views you get, views on my monthly wrap-ups, currently reading, and haul videos. Here's a link to my channel if you're interested in seeing any of my videos, and then included a link. I'd like to request an advanced reader copy of like the title of the book, blank, and then by blank. And then I always include the ISBN number of the book, just to be safe. I don't know if you really have to do that. I think most of them
do it. Do it
just to be safe. Again, I haven't used this for a very, very long time, but this is how I initially requested ARCs, if it's helpful. And then I said, that book to read and review on my channel. I would also include it in other videos as well, and be happy to link you to any videos in which I discuss the book. Thank you for your time and consideration, and then my name, and then I always include my address underneath it, my mailing address, just so like they don't have to reach out again to ask for the address. But yeah, so that's like how I requested ARCs back in 2016. And now, like I said, I don't really request ARCs anymore. The most recent ARC I requested, and the only one I've requested in like past 2 years probably, is The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. Let me see if I can find that email.
But that was one of the tips. A lot of people included on the tips on Twitter, saying that like when you do your first initial email, include all of your information, including your mailing address, because they'll be more likely to just pop you on a mailing list or like send you the ARC if they don't have to put in extra work of waiting for you to get back. So just put it all out there. Let it all free. Do you have your email?
Yeah, I'm pulling it up now. Okay, yeah. Oh, I think I essentially like followed that same format.
Oh, you haven't done it at all.
Yeah, but now we're at 200,000 subscribers. It's been like 3 years. But in this one, I also included like a little bit about like how I like the night circus. So I wrote like one of I was like just giving my stats and my name and introducing myself. And then I said one of my favorite books that I talk about constantly on my channel is The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern, and I'm thrilled for the release of The Starless Sea. I'd love to request an arc of The Starless Sea if there are any available, and would be happy to read it and feature it on my channel to help promote the book. And then I've included my mailing address below. So yeah, it was essentially like the same thing, just like include your info, and then just... You can sometimes also talk about like why you're specifically excited for that book. I think publishers do like to see that too.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Like to know that you have like a specific investment in it for some reason or another.
That's what I did for Next Year in Havana.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm Cuban, so if I don't get it, I'll be sad. So send it to me.
I think definitely like change up. Don't do just like a staple email for every single arc. Like put in some personal information. Like I'm excited about this because they're not going to, if it looks like it's like a robo email type thing, they're not going to be as likely to send you something. So put in some of your personal excitement, because that'll also show that you are like going to review it. You're more of a safe investment. We have some questions. Mariame Liakubi on the chat. I'm so sorry, I said your name wrong. Who do you send the email to? You send it to the publicity is usually what you send it to. So it's a little bit harder to get like the details of the publicist, but sometimes it is on their website, and sometimes you can learn about it from, I learned a lot of it from fellow reviewers. I'm like, what mailing address do you use for this?
I definitely suggest talking to like fellow booktubers, bookstagrammers, bloggers, whoever like in the community that you know have like a contact somewhere. That's really, really helpful. But what I did when I like first started out, so I would find like the imprint, the publisher, and then the imprint of the publisher. Sometimes it's on the author's website, like who their publicist is, and it says for like press or advanced copies, like contact so-and-so, and it has their email listed. But I would look at the publisher and then look at the imprint of the publisher, and then find out who the publicist for that book is, or like the main press like contact for that imprint is, and then email them. Some publishers have like make it really easy, so it's like easier to find. Some of them are like more difficult to find. Yeah. So you do have to do a little bit of research if you like don't know anyone yet. But once you like start to do that, you like start talking to some of the same people, and it becomes like easier.
I think that's definitely the way to go. A lot of research, but your best resource is your friends. So make some friends, please. So we have some more questions. Actually, I'll do another tip from our tip thread. We have one from Amy, Reading with Amy. Knowing your reading type and requesting from that is their tip. Don't just go crazy because you can. Actually be calculated and choose titles that excite you. It will save you from having to force yourself to read something you regret requesting or leaving a negative review because it wasn't for you. And with that, it's okay to not enjoy an arc. If you don't like the book or it wasn't for you, don't worry about being truthful. That's the whole point of a review. Everyone's points are valid. Just don't be cruel and respect others. Also, don't tag an author in a negative review, because that's your surefire way to get like blacklisted from ever reviewing their things again. And also, it's just rude. Don't do that. But it's a review copy, so they're expecting there to be some like negative reviews, but also include why it wasn't for you, like what specifically didn't work, because that still might get people interested if they like the tropes you didn't like, or they like certain elements that you didn't like. So always be truthful, because that's the law.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so we have some more questions. If you have any more questions in the chat, let us know. This is a very informative review video. So, okay. Oh, we have a lot of questions like this from Damn Circus. Do you find arcs worth it? I feel sometimes like when I watch booktubers, they seem to find arcs exciting but then stressful. Is it worth the extra TBR added worth it, especially given the most people never seem to read them before the book gets published? So basically, how do you feel about arcs? How do you keep it from getting stressful, or are you stressed?
I'm always stressed.
That wasn't a good question, because we're all very anxious here.
I think just like if you're making sure that you're only keeping, it's when you get unsolicited things that it's difficult. that's what makes it difficult, because I think arcs, like, I like arcs, but also they're not really that exciting because, like, the book's going to be out eventually, like, it's not, I don't know. I feel like it seems exciting when you don't have them and it's one of those things. And then when you do get them, it's like, oh, it's literally just a book that has some like spelling errors and like different things. Like, it's just kind of a lesser version.
Yeah.
What?
Like some of them don't have the artwork, like the
Yeah, no, they won't. Yeah.
Oh, shucks.
Yeah. So you're just getting like a kind of lesser version of the book that you'll get eventually. But I think when it comes to books that like I am really excited about, I do like having arcs and I do get excited about them. But I think for the most part, they're like any other book. So it's not like, I don't know. They stress me out when there's a lot of them, but that's why I'm kind of picky with what I get now.
It stresses me out when it's like the next year and I realize I haven't read my books from Book Expo the previous year.
Yeah.
But that's like the only time. But any other time I'm like kind of grateful for them because it saves me money and I get to have a bunch of books from publishers that I get to review, but I also get to keep. So then it's like a win-win situation. So I enjoy them, except like when I think about how long they've been on my shelf, like the Book Expo ones.
Yeah, I think Book Expo is when they get really stressful because you get so many at once.
Not this year, though.
Sudden influx. I mean, there's still like, it wasn't as many as the year before, but you still get like a fair amount of books all at the same time. And it's like, that's when it gets overwhelming, I think.
I felt like Book Expo this year, like I've already started reading like a decent number of my arcs, and like it just felt like a good number versus like in past years. Part of it was just myself like taking more than like I could physically read, and just like getting excited and caught up in like everything new. But like this year there were just like so few that I even wanted, so it was just like nice to like only have a few and be able to like actually get through them. But I don't know. I agree with Liv. Like, I like arcs. I think that they're, I think I used to be like more, oh my God, arcs are so cool, versus now I'm like, no, I just like really appreciate like having these. And like, I get excited, like you said, Hailey, like when it's a book I really am excited about, like having an arc of Ninth House makes me like really happy. But like, yeah, I just really appreciate having them. I think it's just nice to like have like free books that you don't have to like, we're not gonna like lie about that. It's just like nice to get sent free books that you're allowed to like, that you get to like review and read ahead of time. It's exciting. So
I agree with both of you. That I like a lot of, not here, but like a lot of the time I keep the arcs. Like I don't buy a finished copy because one, I like paperbacks more. They're just easier to read. And also like I got the book, it's basically the same. There might be a few typos and not a map, but like I don't really care. But it's really nice to get them, and I feel like
Sorry.
my dear child.
Thank you.
But I get stressed when I get too many, like you said, but that's also why I took myself off of a lot of mailing lists this past year, and I'm only going to request books when I specifically want a book. So I think there are definitely ways to make it less stressful for you. I know that some people, they have like a whole Google Calendar where they put like the releases and when they got the book, and they like plan out when they're going to read it. And those are the people that I'm very impressed by, and I want to be them one day because they are next level book reviewers. And so they really prioritize arcs in their reading, but I read a lot of backlisted books, so I'm just like,
I feel like arcs are kind of like a collector's thing for a lot of people. Which is why like Books for Trade and Arcs for Trade is so big. And I totally get that. Like there are some arcs that I want for like some of my favorite books that like if I could get that arc, I'd be really happy to like add to my collection. But like overall, I feel like I don't see arcs that way as much. Like I just kind of see them as like this fun extra thing we get to have as reviewers.
Yeah, I more value the copy that I read because I'm like, I spent so much time with it, and this is how I ingested the story. Yay, I love that so much more. But I definitely see why like Whitney has so many different arcs because that's her favorite book, and she likes to have all the merch. So we actually got a lot of questions asking, where did it go? Oh, Baby Ghoul asks, do you have to have a certain number of subscribers/followers to get an arc? I know some publishers do have a minimum.
Really?
Do they though? Because I think that was a thing of like 4 years ago, and it's not a thing anymore.
Is it not? Oh,
I don't think so.
I have no idea.
Because back in the day, like when I first started, I remember people talking about like, I don't even remember who it was. It might have been Penguin, but I don't know for sure. But people saying like there was like a 10,000 follower like minimum. So I like waited to reach out to them until I hit like 10,000. But I don't think that's the case anymore. Like I see people getting sent books who have way less than 10,000 subscribers or followers on Instagram or on their blog or anything. So I don't think that they have those like follower limits anymore.
That's good. Maybe sometimes it's like unspoken. Like
I don't think that.
But I think mostly it's focusing on the individual reviewers, like what the book means to them. But I think they do want you to at least be a reviewer.
I think what they've learned,
something,
I think what they've learned though is that like it doesn't really matter how many followers you have. You're gonna like it's giving exposure. So I would say like no, there's not a threshold that you have to pass, and it doesn't hurt to ask if that's what like you don't think that you're big enough or whatever. Just ask. Like they're not going to be like, no, like you're so dumb for asking for this. That's not going to happen. They just won't send it to you, so you'll just be ghosted. So it's fine.
Love it.
The times where being ghosted is fine.
Also, just like a note, sometimes if you request an ARC, they will ghost you. Like they just won't reply, but you'll get sent the ARC anyway. So sometimes if they don't reply, they're still sending it to you. Just like FYI.
Yeah.
Sometimes it'll just show up on your doorstep. You'd be like, I wonder what this mysterious package is. Huh? And then you open it and you're like, yes, it wasn't like a bomb or something. That's good.
Oh.
But I think that most of the time they do want to just see your enthusiasm for it, but make sure that at least you do have like consistent bookish content. Because
I think that's what it is. Consistency is a big thing. Yeah. If you're consistently posting and active, then you're way more likely, no matter like, I would say you're way more likely than if someone has like more followers than you and isn't post. Stop! I'm not trying to attack you.
I'm attacking myself. It's okay.
But I think that it makes a difference.
And you can be like on Goodreads. You can have a book blog. You can have a Bookstagram or a BookTube, as long as you're in the book community and you're recommending things. There you go. So we have some more questions. Do you have any more random tips that you've thought of? It's okay if you don't. I'll move on. So we have one from Ola Quinn. They ask, my friend Kasha Wonderland was asking today, what do you do if you didn't like a book you got on NetGalley? Do you review it negatively, or do you not review it at all, risking to lower your ratio between books you received and books you reviewed? Well, I think review it. That's the whole point of the website, is that even if it's a negative review, it won't lower your ratio. It shows.
I feel like book reviewing is like a relationship, and it is built on honesty. If you are not going to be honest, like it's true though. If you're not going to be honest and you're going to be like, well, I didn't like that, but I don't want them to know I didn't like that because I don't know, maybe they'll be mad at me and they won't like send me things anymore. So I'm just going to pretend it never happened. Then that's not being truthful. And the relationship between, not even between publisher and reviewer, but between reviewer and like the reviewer's followers or the people who trust that reviewer, if you're not being honest about what you have read, then like that trust is broken, and like no one's gonna, I just think it's the stupidest thing if you're gonna lie about how you felt about a book because of whatever reason. Like, no, just be honest about it, because that is 1000% like that's how this thing works, or else it's not going to work and it's going to crumble.
Oh, someone said Kit Kats Can Read says, I knew a blogger who lied about her reviews to keep the relationship with the publishers.
Yeah.
Everyone can see through that.
Cut them out.
Even the publishers can like I'm sure they'll enjoy like you're like putting, but like you're going to lose the trust of the people who are there.
You lose the credibility.
Analytics that will help you get the arc. So it all comes full circle. Just don't lie. Just
because they'll be.
It's the law.
They're gonna, you like this book? I'm gonna read it now, and then they're gonna read it, and they're gonna be like, "Wow, that was really shitty." Okay, I guess I don't trust your opinion anymore. Bye. Like, Why?
Also, people like negative reviews too.
Yes.
So like if you want to go on a rant, go on a rant because some people enjoy that. I don't personally, but other people love it. So
Yep.
Oh yeah, no people. Deanna Bailey says in the chat, the publishers make a bunch of money. Don't lie, lol. A few bad reviews won't kill them, lol. Yeah, I think that's definitely the case.
Honestly,
like, still getting it out there. Sometimes, a lot of the times, they don't even like watch the review. They just see that you did the review.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
there you go. Okay, so we have some more. This one from In the Library. I always wanted to know what time frame before publication should you post a review. So, like, you just did a Ninth House reading vlog.
Yes, you're talking to me.
Yes.
I was like, what's happening? Yes, I did.
You can't see that.
I asked Hannah actually. I was like, when should I post this? Should I post this in September? Should I post it before? And she was like, I don't know, post it before because so many people are excited for that and they want like to know the early thoughts, and people are adding that to their TBR anyway because she's such a big like author. So that one I didn't mind publishing it early because people are still gonna want to read it in October. But for other books, I'll usually do it like a month before just to like keep the buzz going and have it more like relevant to its time and such.
Do you send out any, like, do you say any spoilers in your early review?
Oh no.
Okay.
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't think so. I spoke about a ghost, but like there's a ghost in the book.
Oh my gosh, I'm never gonna read it now. You just spoiled the whole thing.
It's not like someone became a ghost. It was just, he's just there. Okay.
Okay. But I think as long as you're like pretty vague with what you
I was vague.
Mm-hmm. I think that
I wasn't like, we're gonna analyze the last 4 pages of this book because then I would post it earlier to its like release.
Yeah, I think like don't show the page or something like that.
Yeah.
But I think it's also not gonna hurt the sales if you can read a random page from the book. So just in general, don't like give any spoiler reviews because people won't really want to watch it because they haven't read the book yet and they're gonna want to wait to watch it. But just some vague constructive criticism. There you go.
And then once the book is published, then you could like do all the spoilers you want because then people could like relate to it and be like, I actually read the book, so I know what you're talking about.
But yeah, I think like a month to even like a few weeks beforehand. I think don't post it like. I mean, some people do post it the day of. It's all subjective. I don't know why I'm like there's a rule that you must do it this.
It's the law.
You really like rules.
honestly,
I do.
We struggle.
I think it very much depends on the book and the publisher and how they're choosing to market the book. Because like with some, like with Ninth House, for example, like it's such a big hyped book, regardless of if anyone's talking about it or like making videos about it or posting about it on Instagram because it's Leigh Bardugo. So like with that one, the reason I feel like making like having the reason they have, I think, advanced copies so early and because like that's also like a timing thing, like they do it on purpose, like the time they decide to send out advanced copies or make them available to people is the time where they're like, okay, it's acceptable for people to start talking about this book at this point. So like with that one, it makes sense that there's like earlier stuff because like the buzz is just going to like continue through its release. But then like there are other books that like they won't like have arcs or like send out like a lot of arcs. Yeah, like until much closer to the release date of the book because they don't want people talking about it as much, like too early on. So yeah, like they kind of also like control that with how many arcs they decide to send out early or when they decide to like start printing arcs and stuff like that.
But I think like just for your own channel or something like that, maybe don't talk about it until like a month beforehand, depending on how big of a release is. Like Ninth House, everybody's excited for it. So like you can post stuff about Ninth House now and people are excited to watch it because they're like relating to, or they're living vicariously through you and be like, oh, I wish I was reading it right now. But I guess if it's more of an obscure book, maybe wait a little bit closer to the release date. But again, it's all up to like what you're comfortable with and what the publisher wants. But usually if you get an arc, they want you to start talking about it. Anyway, moving on. So we have, a lot of people are asking, can you get physical arcs if you are in another country?
Yeah.
You can? I mean,
Well, I don't.
Canada's a little bit different.
How?
I mean, like, it's not
It's
like
another country.
It's a North American country. It's not like the same.
You can though. I mean, well, UK people get ARCs too from.
Well, yeah,
I don't know.
UK publishers and like the Australian publishers, like all of like, I think people are talking about a lot of like non-English speaking like countries.
A lot of
that I
people
don't
from
know.
Germany.
Yeah. So I think it just depends on how the publisher is marketing the book there. And I don't know too much about that. So
Yeah.
I feel like the easiest, or it's just like specifically about physical ARCs, isn't it? Like the question.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
So.
I get some of my ARCs from the Canadian counterparts of publishers, and I get some of them from just the actual American publishers. I don't know about like Germany or anything like that, but I would say you can try contacting the just regular American publishers and seeing.
Or if you're in Germany, probably contact the UK publishers. That'll be cheaper shipping. And they're probably more closely tied to other European countries. But I personally don't know specifically, but I think try.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it depends like how big of a release it is. If it's like a big book, they probably have more ARCs to give, and they'll be more likely to give it to people outside of the country. But I'm not so sure. Do it and report back, please. Thank you. Good night. Okay. So, do we have any more tips from you guys?
Oh God.
I got nothing.
Okay.
Some people are asking in the comments, what's the difference between a galley and an arc? They're the same thing. It's just a different word for the same thing.
I think we went through most of the questions from Twitter. So I'm going to give some more of people's advice. And the first one is, just kidding, we just talked about that. So we have, when someone named Lucon's Library, when requesting physical ARCs, make sure that you are emailing the editor of the book you're looking for. You can usually find the editor in the acknowledgments of the author's previous book if the new book is being published under the same imprint. So I've never actually emailed an editor before. I've only edited publicity. So maybe you could try that, but I would definitely stick with publicity because they're in charge of out like mailers and all of that. And we have one from Entrancing Tales. Sites like bookishfirst.com for the US and readersfirst.co.uk for the UK make it really easy for new reviewers to access ARCs since you can enter a drawing or use points gained from previous reviews. It's nice since you don't have to have a huge audience to use. So definitely check those out. That sounds like a really interesting thing. So, wait, what was your question before, Liv, before we started?
Oh, what was the most exciting ARC you received?
Hey, Hannah, what was the most exciting ARC you
received? Ninth House, probably.
Oh.
I actually don't know what the most exciting one. It's either that, also getting my, what's it called? It's not up here. Oh, Ghosts of the Shadow Market arc was pretty exciting because that was the first like Cassandra Clare arc I got. Or what was it? Was it the other one? Red Scrolls of Magic was the first one I got. That was also really exciting. I don't have all of my arcs with me, so like I can't look at them to remember. But Ninth House was pretty exciting, at least recently.
I think mine would probably be, and it's funny because I didn't finish the book, but Bridge of Clay by Marcus Zuzak.
I remember how excited you were to get that last Expo.
It was, it was the first book that I ever got at Book Expo. So that was exciting. And I didn't know it was happening. And it was like numbered on the side and it was like a cool, like fancy arc. And like, I didn't
really
like the book.
too, the cover.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's just like really pretty.
It is.
Yeah.
It's not that good.
No, I didn't finish the book, but it was really exciting because he's like, well, I would say he was one of my favorite authors, but he wrote one of my favorite books is what I'll say. So it was super exciting, but it did end up not being.
I just realized what my favorite arc that I have is.
What?
Seven Husbands.
Oh, yeah. Right.
I want one so bad. I tried on Books for Trade, but it's too difficult. It's too Hunger Games-y. I can't get it. I've tried.
Oh my gosh. What about you, Liv? What's your most exciting one?
I was looking around my room while Hailey was speaking. I won 6 of Crows in a giveaway like years ago. I don't remember the giveaway, but I won it, and I love it. It's amazing. And I also I got the Hate You Give from Y'all Fest. A friend got it for me, and she was like, "This looks really good. I think you would like it." And it was like before the Hate You Give was like the Hate You Give with like all caps, where it's like all exciting. So like it was like an unknown book, and now it's like so famous and like awesome.
I have lost every single giveaway that I've ever entered.
No!
Before I started my booktube, I used to go on Goodreads like every single day and entered so many of those. And I lost every single one. Actually, I don't have that many exciting arcs because usually I read a lot of backlisted books. So usually I don't know a lot of the new books that are coming out, so I don't ask for arcs. So you know, I can't really answer this question. Leary Sanonis just asked, is Book Expo only for BookTube? No, it is not. There are a lot of librarians and booksellers and bloggers, other book reviewers who go there. It's just that BookTube is the loudest about it, I think.
We're the loudest about everything.
Yeah, that's true.
Also, BookCon is available for anybody if you would like to pay to go there. Vanessa, not to brag, but I've won one Goodreads giveaway. Flip's hair. Get out of here! You're not allowed. We're not allowed here. We can only commiserate about our losses. Oh goodness.
I won again, but better on Goodreads.
Nice.
I was like, what? Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I forgot to mention that one.
I should start entering them again.
Yeah, it sends me like emails whenever a book on my TBR is having a giveaway, so I just enter them whenever I'm bored, and then sometimes I win once every 10 years.
I have one book on my TBR, and that's the next Hunger Games book.
Yes.
Oh goodness. Okay, so from Rebecca Reads YT, if you do really want an arc but aren't sure when you get to it, it's fine to say in your request through email or social media, if the publisher requests it that way, that you'll post about it on XYZ social media platforms. Covers your back and means if you didn't like it, that's fine. If you've heard the final copy will be pretty, you'll post it on Instagram or whatever, and that's still promo. And also mentioning the publisher in posts / tagging them on social media if a certain publicist is the one you always work with, making sure to thank them. So definitely, I know a lot of people, like I said before, they unbox on Instagram in their stories and they'll tag the publisher. So I think that's definitely a good way to let them know that you have it and are already exposing it to the world. So I think I see a lot of people who like don't do a lot of individual book reviews doing that. So I think that's kind of like covering their butt. It's a very it's very, very good strategy. So do we have any last minute questions about arcs or tips from you guys? I feel like we kind of covered all of the bases.
Oh, another thing I feel like we should mention. I don't think I said this when I explained arcs, but like you can't sell arcs.
Oh,
just
yeah,
like
no.
Important fact. It like clearly says on the cover, not for sale all the time. But people still try to sell them. Like when we got Ninth House, like a few hours later, it was already up on eBay for like hundreds of dollars because people are crazy. So don't sell arcs. You're not supposed to sell them. They're not meant to be bought.
You will be blacklisted from.
Yes, you will.
I know that the person who was selling Ninth House got blacklisted from Book Expo. Like they're not allowed to come back. And
how did they find out who it was?
They like tracked it down. Like the publisher and the people at Book Expo were like tracking
that
them
meme
down.
with the...
Yeah, no. And also you'll be blacklisted from the publisher. So don't do it. Not worth it for like the couple of dollars you'll make. Just no. So any last minute questions? Yeah, people are saying I found arcs in charity shops. I found arcs. Like I got sent an arc when I bought a used book on Amazon.
Yeah, I've gotten that too.
And that's illegal.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Okay. Yeah, I feel like we've kind of answered everything. So I will talk about our BookTuber of the week. Her link is already down in the description if you want to check her out. But her name is Jamie from Leo Reads, and she sent me a little bio to read. So this is in first person. I'm not actually Jamie. I'm still Zoe, in case you were wondering. But Jamie says, "Hello, I'm Jamie, a booktuber from the tiny country that is New Zealand, and so super humbled to be booktuber of the week." Aw, shucks. On my channel, I mostly do weekly reading vlogs, which I love to do, and I try to be as authentic and honest as possible while still remaining positive and fun. I try to read as widely as possible, but my favorite things to read are thrillers, dark fantasies, and heartbreaking contemporaries. Can you relate, Hannah?
Yes.
This year, I've read 51 books, which is crazy to me and already the most I've ever read in a year. I totally blame BookTube. Oh my gosh. I think my favorite so far has to be Nevernight by Jay Kristoff, but some honorable mentions are The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller, Sadie by Courtney Summers, and Vicious by B.E. Schwab. Thank you, Zoe, Hailey, and Hannah for
what good taste.
And I hope you'll have a lovely day or night. Thank you. So check her out. Great channel. I love her accent. I love it. Okay, so that is all about ARCs. There we go. Again, please check out Olivia's channel and Instagram and all your Book Riot posts and all.
Oh yeah,
so much. Plug all of your things.
I'm so stressed.
So then thanks for being here and learning about ARCs, and that's all I have to say. I'm just making sure we followed all of my notes that I wrote on Google Doc. I think we did. If you have any more questions, let us know on Twitter or in the chat or something like that, and we'll try to answer them, but hopefully this was as informational as possible. I just really wanted to spread the word because I was very confused when I first was learning about ARCs when I first started out. So hopefully, thank you for watching. Remember that our July book of the month is Wicked Fox by Cat Cho, and you can look at our Goodreads again down below in the description. Everything's in the description. Okay, that's the end of this live show. I'm gonna stop talking. Okay, bye.
Bye.